What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another show of the Fuel by Generosity podcast. My apologies. It's been a long day, but all is well. Hope you all are doing good. Hope you all are having an amazing day. And if you are in the DMV, in the DC, Baltimore, Maryland area, it is a nice, hot, sunny day. I hope you are enjoying the sunny weather out there. And wherever it is that you're watching from, make sure you check in, let me know so I can give you a shout out. But once again, welcome to another episode of the Fuel by Generosity podcast. I am your boy, Rich, founder and CEO for Generosity Global, Chief Generosity Officer. And as you all know, we've been doing this for the past, 5 months now, this podcast, which is highlighting people who are making change in the community, people who are doing incredible things, people who are using the power of generosity to impact the world, to change the world, to do good, as well as draw you who are our supporters, our donors, our partners closer to the mission of Generosity Global, where we give showers to the homeless. We serve the homeless on the second and third Saturday by giving them food, giving them a home-cooked meal. And in sub-Saharan Africa, we focus on giving clean drinking water to people in rural villages, as well as empowering and uplifting women through menstrual hygiene training and helping them develop the capacity to make reusable pads and train them how to be self-sustainable. So all those things are important to us. That's our mission. That is our why. But we also believe that in order for our loyal fans, our loyal supporters, our committed donors to know more about what we do, this is one of the ways that we want to reach out so you can reach in and we can connect and get even build an even better organization and a better brand. But all that to say is I am excited to be here today. Every week, I either bring on a guest who is connected to Generosity Global or bring on a guest who may be doing something outside of what Generosity Global is doing, but they are doing something great, something significant, something impactful. They are literally, again, using that power of generosity to do good, to change the world, to impact lives. And today's guest is very special to me. As you all know, she is actually the co-founder and actually my wife, amazing woman who helps me in building and helps our team in the direction of how we should move. And today, as we are in Women's History Month, what a better guest to have than a woman who's making his history in her own rights, as well as impacting impacting through leadership and impacting through personal coaching and personal professional transformative coaching, all of that stuff. But most importantly, she is my wife. She is my woman, and she is my co-pilot at Generosity Global. And I'm excited to bring her because we're going to talk about something amazing that our team has been working on. And being it his Women's History Month, we are excited to basically launch this and talk more about the area, or let's just say the department that she leads within Generosity Global. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to welcome the amazing, the incredible, the powerful Mrs. Erika Akwo.
Hello. Hey. Hi, Facebook fam.
Hey.
Hi, husband.
What's happening? How are you?
I am good. Just like you, I've had a very interesting day, but I'm just humbled by your introduction. I don't even know how to follow that. So.
Oh, really? What humbled you?
I mean, just you don't tend, as you go about life in each day, you don't tend to think of yourself in these different parts. So yeah, it was just like, wow, it's good, and it's better coming from you. So.
Oh, well. I'm glad that I did a good intro. I didn't want to butcher it. I did not want to mess up and take away from the greatness that you are.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
as we know, you know, what has transpired over the last 10 years has been nothing more than just us working hand in hand together and growing Generosity Global, and as well as all the other things that we're involved in. But I am
Mhm.
happy to have you on. I think this is the third time. You just want to keep coming, don't you? Oh,
I love it.
you
I
love
love hanging out with you. I
it.
love talking to our family, our village. So yeah, I'll keep coming on.
So what's
But
been
yeah,
going on since the
third
last
time's a
time?
charm.
What's been going on since the last time that we connected here on the podcast?
Well, a lot has been going on behind the scenes, and I am working. Let me just say that it's a blessing to work with an amazing creative team, a team full of visionaries and executors, but also just passion. And I think that just the minds, our minds just coming together has really created great content and has really given a great, I believe, foundation for Generosity Women. I was just sharing right before I got on this podcast with you. I was just sharing with our team that I believe Generosity Women, when it was first launched, and I first kind of spoke this name at Mission Ball 2019. And I think the messaging behind Generosity Women was mixed up in a sense where it kind of came like Generosity Women was its own separate entity away from Generosity Global. And now that we have gone down this path of just learning and understanding the messaging, the branding, building the content behind it, I feel really, really happy with the way that Generosity Women is evolving and
Mhm.
maturing,
Yeah,
and how it is really now connected so much to Generosity Global and the mission. And I think you did a really, really great job when you were speaking about Generosity Global and how we provide access to clean water, and in that we're able to uplift women.
yeah,
And it's a very simple message. And I believe it's a very profound message, being that also we're in Women's History Month.
yeah.
So to talk about uplifting women, to talk about the beauty of a woman, her worth, her value, her mind, her voice, and more importantly, her body and how she feels about herself, I believe is the culmination of Generosity Women. And we have created, I believe, a unique way for us to now convey all of these things so that our supporters and our donors fully understand what our mission is and exactly what we are doing to uplift women.
Mm, wow. Okay, that's a good way to start. That was
I'm
powerful.
excited. I'm excited. I just
That's
ended a
what I mean.
call and I'm excited. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
have all
So
this in my mind.
let's jump. Women's History Month and eventually Women's Days. What this. Like if we look at just the history of women, and even in the context of water, women, health, hygiene that we've been working on, and all that stuff. Like, how's that position, the framework of that in your mind? How do you approach that? And seeing the fact that the work that you do directly impacts women, even outside of Generosity Global.
Yeah, so the way that I approach University women is in every anything that I do, because I fully believe that everything that I do, in terms of my purpose, in terms of the work that I do, any book that I write, any speech that I make, I am an advocate for women. And I am advocating women from the standpoint of the internal
Hmm.
through the external.
Okay.
Um, I really believe that the root of all things comes from, for women and men, comes from breaking down barriers that really have us inside and kind of jailed. Our thoughts are kind of capped in our minds. So we kind of sit in this mind jail that I call it, where life, experiences, people, places, circumstances have left us in feeling in a sense. It then impacts our how we feel, how we see things, and our perception of things. So when we when I think about generosity women and the fact that water is the gateway for that woman to feel worthy. See, the one thing, the element there of water, and the fact that it has been in lack for most of her life. So it's almost like this lack of water has almost been normalized in her mind, that this is now her way of life. So when we now are drilling water in villages, the woman that now has access to water, it gives her a way, a platform down to feel different, because now things that weren't so normal can become normal. And I say that in the sense of very essential things like bathing, like drinking clean water. Let's start there. The feeling of drinking something that's nice and refreshing, and digesting something that's cleansing, bathing, taking care of your bodies, and then going into the step further of your health, your hygiene, and your health. These are things that most of the time we take for granted, because we're like, hygiene, health, that's bathing, that's so simple. But
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you are going through your days of life without these things. How would you feel about yourself? And then if you feel, however you feel about yourself really indicates what you do, how you do, and it goes from there. So for me, it's a personal issue, because this is something that I'm so connected to heart wise. I connect to it from a standpoint of like, this woman right here, she is worthy of feeling exactly how I feel, even though we're from totally different parts of the world. It doesn't negate the fact that her value and my value are invaluable, pretty
Yeah.
much. So,
Yeah. Now that's deep, and I think again, part of the reason why we have this push is just a sheer desire to uplift the woman, the girl child, and to be able to restore this dignity for people who, because of lack of a particular resource, they're not able to fully come alive. Would that be
yes.
to an extent to what in a sense? And so the work that we do as part, I think that's that not I think it's uplifting women. Even though we've always done that as part of our water project, we wanted to highlight that to make it something that can be funded, right?
Hmm.
Can be a standalone program that is connected to the water projects, but yet can stand on its own, because the work that goes behind the operations of women and women uplifting and all the stuff that I guess you would talk about today, needs its own budget, and it needs its own attention, and it needs its own leadership, and it needs its own program director and all of that stuff. Let's talk about what that vision is for the again, I think for those who are just joining us and learning about Generosity Women and Generosity Global as a whole, and what we do with Generosity Women. Like, what's the vision there? What is the goal? What is the purpose? What is the why? And why do we do it?
Well, our why, I think I said that just a few minutes ago. Our purpose for doing this is really to uplift women, and in essence to help them become the best version of themselves, in essence. So we use the power of generosity, to uplift women, and in that, the whole goal of the program of Generosity Women is to be able to teach women how to, I guess, create reusable pads that then brings on sustainability, that then opens up doors for them through income, through employment, certain skills that they're learning. This is something that is very foreign to them because the menstruation crisis is a big, big deal in sub-Saharan Africa. So women do not have, just as they did not have access to clean water for bathing, they did not have the proper um, resources or sanitary napkins to manage their periods. So really, in essence, we're tackling the menstruation crisis by teaching them how to make reusable pads. The reusable pads are helping them in sustaining exactly, I guess, bringing sustainability to the village so they can, from this point forward, understand how to maintain this management of their cycle, why they're having their cycle, and then teach others. So it's almost like we're empowering you to like empower others. Just that simple skill of learning how to make reusable pads and then teaching others can really, in a sense, uplift the community, uplift the community of women who are grandmothers, aunts, friends and mothers, and then teach their daughters and the younger girls in the community about this. These pads really, when they are used properly and taught properly, and the education behind the pads comes in, now the woman feels good about herself. So now we're bringing that element of self-worth that I spoke about. We're bringing in now the element of like not having to use dirty rags to manage your cycle every month. Imagine how we feel when we're on our cycle. I know me personally, you feel some kind of way that time of the month as a woman. So when you don't have those necessary things available for you, the feeling's even worse. So just to there create that vehicle for her to feel better about herself, to possibly make income from it if that's what she chooses to do. But more importantly, to restore that hope and that dignity, because now the water in the reusable pads make better hygiene. The education behind the menstruation, behind her, the way her body is designed, why this is going on, brings in the health part, and all of this together I believe uplifts the woman so that she feels more at an equal playing field when going out to possibly pursue or want to do other things, daily activities or dreams or things of that nature.
Yeah, that's good. I guess one of the things that I think when we first explored, and you really more so with the help of a few women that you've worked with, was exploring. Do we? So I guess I'll ask you, like, why make these reusable pads as opposed to just go ahead and supplying like the regular pads that people you normally use? Why the need for reusable pads? What is the key to that? Why do you believe?
Whew. Well, there's several reasons. One, health wise. So believe it or not, I actually have changed to use reusable pads because it is healthier. There are ingredients and toxins and things that are in disposable pads that over time, and depending on a woman's sensitivity, um, it could, cause other things that are down the road that may not be beneficial for her.
Mm,
So it is definitely beneficial health wise. It's beneficial in terms of where are you going to dispose them.
mm,
Like we need trash cans, we need places that pick these sanitary napkins up, because again there are bodily fluids and left out, it's not safe, it's not sanitary, and then it can breed in other things. And then the biggest thing is sustainability. It's that simple. Um, our Generosity Global, as you have laid that foundation, and I believe it's a very important one, is when when we are in villages and providing water and implementing, we like to leave with this is the strategy of how you're able to sustain without us,
Right.
and we're very cautious of dropping this gauntlet where saying this is your way of life, must do as we say, but more so integrating new things of or ways of life that can help
Hmm.
improve their condition of life.
Right.
And when the reusable pads provide the sustainability and the improvement, the condition of their lives, where when we're not present anymore, these are techniques and skills that can continue on for generations to come. The cost behind it is can go a further way.
Yeah.
The amount of money to make a reusable pads, really, it's like $2.50 when
Mm.
you look at all the materials
That's it.
involved.
$2.50.
That's it,
Wow.
to when you think about the materials that are involved. And so to know that a woman who may need to um, create a program or buy these for her family or her daughter, the cost is way low and it lasts longer. It
Hmm.
lasts longer. Here in the States, our pads can last up to 5 years if taken very good care of them. Now, we do have a different material here that we have not been able to implement yet. Yet, not with that said, with the proper education and teaching, the reusable pads that we are teaching the women to make can really still last up to 1 to 2 years if taken care of. And that is a very, very, very big difference with having to buy pads monthly.
Hmm.
A woman whose flow is very heavy, you can go through 4 to 5 pads in the first day of your cycle. So imagine if you're on your cycle times five, that's five. That's what, 4 times 5, that's 20 pads you're using versus for the reusable pads, you have a cloth that we insert inside of these little pockets. And so the cloth is really what gets taken out and you wash the cloth and you insert a new cloth and then that cloth is the part that is being used again. But the thing is that that cloth absorbs a lot of the flow and it lasts longer. It can last for hours. So if a young girl is at school, well, instead of having to change her pad 2 to 3 hours each time, especially if she's on a heavier flow, it could honestly last her up to 6 hours. She can wash it properly, and there she can now use that same pad over and over again, at least for up to a year or two. So there's so many benefits for reusable pads.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess I had to make the adjustment when you started using those things. And I was like, well, this is different. But I think for the long term um, sustainability, that approach definitely beats everything else that's out in the market. And I think, again, beyond that, what this effort is going to do is help women develop skills, right? Like life skills.
Absolutely. And I like it because, and you can speak on this, but from the fact that as long as I've known you now, which is what, 17 years, one of the things that I love about being immersed in the African culture was that young girls learn from the older women so much. There's still this level of teaching with how um to cook and take care of, the kids and just different things. And I believe this is an added element to that. It still creates that bonding experience that a woman would love to just sit with her daughter and pass this down to her.
Mm,
Having that understanding of life skills, being taught and learned and understood, is I think is something that also kind of just it kind of just and goes along with what the culture already does in terms of the mentorship and takes place from the older generations to the younger generations. But the great thing about this is that it's also great from peer to peer. too, because in our training courses that we've already have started, there have been young girls who have partaken in the training, and now they too can also teach other young girls that are in their age bracket as well. So it allows for more peer-to-peer engagement. It allows for older engagement to younger engagement, and then, as I mentioned, it's a opportunity for income, which is, a big deal. There could be a trade or business that comes out of this, because when education is infused and back behind this, it becomes more of a need, because now there's an understanding of why. It's not as foreign anymore, because now we have kind of made this thing more normalized. So it's like it's not foreign, it's normalized, it's needed, and now it can be a way for a young woman or a young girl to kind of maybe have their own business or their own way of selling these products to other women that are going to need it too.
Yeah, I love the economic opportunity that brings to people in that particular village, whatever the village is, wherever it is that we are operating, the economic opportunity to not only teach but also equip women with the ability to recreate and use it as a source of income, for because when we're in these villages, sometimes the average daily earning is like $1, right? And so
Hmm.
even at a month, you may be lucky for some of these village members to get $10 in a month or $20 at most. So
Right.
being able to create a source of income where people can let use to feed their families, send school kids to school. That's part of that sustainability model that we continue to tackle and continue to address. It's never um, easy, because we realize that there is, to build something sustainable, that you need to have people who are committed to it, and that
Yeah.
comes in the operational side of things. And so I know that's part of the things that we've been working on, and you and your the amazing women on our team. I think I'm outnumbered, right? Which is cool. It's cool. It's cool.
You are.
Outnumbered, but hey, you know what? We have an amazing team. But there's been this campaign that we've been working on to just create awareness, and talk more about that.
Yeah, so what a perfect way to start Women's History Month as to also start the Generosity Women campaign, which will begin this upcoming Monday, March 8th. And we, over the course of 3 weeks, I believe our supporters, our donors, even those that um, are looking to learn more about Generosity Global and Generosity Women, will really have clear and concise understanding as to what does generosity do, and then where is their money going to help fund this initiative. We've already stated about the reusable pads. That is one element. But as we've always said, to keep any mission going and any work that we do on the field, there has to be money for operations, for a coordinator that will oversee the day-to-day um, activities that will happen, and then also um, just really being able to. Um, they will also be able to have an understanding of how many different things are connected to women, water, health, and hygiene. As we spoke about income, as we are also can speak about education with school. The young girl that misses school due to um, her having to fetch water, then also having to be on her period. See, when young girls are menstruating or women are menstruating, it's very difficult for them to go to school with having to use dirty rags and leaves and figs all day long. So there is a lot of school that these young girls miss, and that puts them at unequal playing field with their male peers, which leads them to so many other things, getting married young, having kids young. So just the mere fact now that there is access for regular attendance in school is connected to the water health and hygiene program. And we'll talk about that more. We'll talk about the time that a woman now gets back in our campaign. You'll see that a woman walking 4 or 5, 6 miles, getting up at the break of dawn, and that amount of time that she spends walking, it really does limit her in a sense to manage other household duties, to manage other children, and then to also have time for herself, personal care. That's a very, very big thing as a mother. We all need those moments where, whether we're stay-at-home moms or working moms, we all need moments where we can connect back to ourselves and realize who are we and what are we, right?
Hmm.
So that time that she gets back is now can be sacred, and if her children are in school, well, now she has more time to focus on other things. So these are all things that we're talking about in the campaign. The next 3 weeks, I'm excited to just see how all this information unfolds and the feedback that we're gonna get, you know, um, from just the posts that you see, from the blogs that you read, from either some short videos, pictures. We've been very conscious in making sure that everything that we do just tells you the story from the field and tells you the story about that young girl, that young woman, that truly is going to benefit and have really her life transformed from the work that we're doing, and more importantly, from your support and your donation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about just the fact that just creating an awareness again within women and men, right? I believe that this is something that not only women have to talk about it, men as well got to get behind it. And I mean, obviously, I'm biased just because we're being generosity global is something that I oversee, at the same time something that I'm part of. But naturally, I believe that when um, women succeed, we all succeed. When women thrive, we all thrive. When women are taken care of in any community, the community itself rises. And so, for the communities that we are working in and we're going to be working in, because we believe that each program that we do is we can replicate anywhere as long as we have the right people in it. But I believe that this particular campaign with women is really very, very powerful to um, create that awareness in women around the world who are connected to Generosity Global, to show them the things that they may not necessarily be aware of, right?
Mhm.
Things that we may take for granted. For men to step up and be part of that conversation. Because for me, being in the field multiple times is having witnessed the young girl who has to miss school because she doesn't want to be shamed by her peers because of her period, and she's bleeding and it bleeds through her uniform, and people see it, and they don't, most sometimes they don't understand it because they've never been taught, they've never been informed and advised that this is a natural occurrence, and so most of the time they are ashamed, and so they don't want to go to school and they miss out on the opportunity to learn, and so I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about just getting people involved, getting people excited about what we're doing with that, especially women. I think this is a campaign that, if it speaks to your heart as a woman, definitely you know um, donate, support in any capacity. I know for you, it's beyond just people donating, like especially women. Like, I know you love to engage women in this conversation. Like, why do you feel the need to just take it away from just a donate, but more so let's make it personal for the women?
Great question. I want to piggyback off, before I answer that question, I want to piggyback a little bit what you were saying about the men. And I believe that men having an understanding of a woman's menstrual cycle, of what women feel, how we feel, and vice versa for women as well too. I believe it just overall helps um in building relationships and building marriages and building certain things. Many times the woman that feels ostracized due to her menstrual cycle is because her male counterparts just don't understand. And because of that, their lack of understanding, there comes that shame. I remember reading an article about a year ago of a 13-year-old girl, and she had just got on her period, and her dad did not know or was not aware that a young girl begins to menstruate around that time. So he beat her, thinking that she got her, cherry popped, and that she was having, intercourse, and thought that was the blood coming from there. So what a what a difference education can make in understanding from a male's perspective if men just kind of got on this train with us and didn't look at it as such a nasty thing, but looked at it as such a natural thing,
Hmm.
and understood that it's natural, it's biological. Not that Generosity Women is going this route, but it also is, I believe, a woman's menstruation is very important to life, to her being able to conceive or not conceive. So it goes in so many different levels, and I think that men hopping on this train and just kind of getting in with us and learning. And I do want to, engage men in this the best that I can over these next 3 weeks and beyond. Um, I believe, that the engagement of just having those real raw conversations opens up doors for us to share our truth, share what it's really like. And then it allows for us to tell stories, to share our own stories and to hear other stories. I believe that when we hear stories from the field that are coming in, or and things, you begin to realize that the girl child or the young woman in Cameroon is very really similar to me. And that's where I have realized this. I When I spoke at Mission Ball 2019, I really wanted the audience to know that this is personal for me,
Hmm.
because that I understanding that this woman who is a mother, I'm a mother too, so I think about my kids when I think about her not being able to bathe her kids. I think about certain things with me personally that I feel, um and look at her journey and think how and question how will she feel? How
Yeah.
does she feel? And I ask, and asking those questions. We had very, I would say, not too invasive, but very authentic and raw questions that were asked of the women in Cameroon and in Kenya as well, because it was more so to get that understanding of that personal connection and to hear their stories,
Yeah.
not for us to assume,
Assume.
but we don't want to assume, but we want to understand their way of life and understand that we are the same in a sense of our gender,
Hmm.
and we are capable just as much as I'm capable here, you are too. You just have to find your own path in your own right, and I believe that looks different for everyone. So um in essence, the overall, when I think about Generosity Women from afar, like if I have to take a step back and look at the vision from afar to me is becoming the best self, the better version of yourself, the best version of yourself that this woman can be. And for me personally, as a co-founder in Generosity Global, as the leader in Generosity Women, as a transformational coach, anything that I do, my goal and me for personally is always to help cultivate someone to be that best version of self. And I believe that best version of self is really just parallel to them as the person, so not dropping down these parameters and these borders as to what you may adhere to, but more so opening up doors and gateways that may open your eyes to what you've never seen,
Hmm.
so that then you can take that and create your own
Yeah.
from that.
I mean, that is, I think, everything you said is powerful. And again, thank you to all of our viewers, people who are watching, people who are going to be listening later. Thank you for joining us on the Fuel by Generosity podcast, where we bring change makers as well as bring you closer to the mission of Generosity Global. I have with me today my wife, my co-founder, and co-leader, co-pilot, Erika Akwo, who directs and leads our Generosity Women program. And we're just basically having a conversation about, the need for the women's hygiene program and menstrual hygiene, and the impact that could have on a grand scale. We have seen it on a small scale and what that looks like. And overall, I believe that, you've touched on a few things, and I see people commenting. Again, if you're watching the show, or if you're listening, or if you're watching right now, if you want me to see your comments and populate it on the screen so Erika can see, make sure you watch it on either the Generosity Global Facebook page or the Fuel by Generosity podcast page on Facebook. If you comment on there, I will be able to see it. I'll be able to put it on the screen. We can have a discussion. But we have Pamela Green Wilson that says, that is so wonderful. Christy Dixon, education is everything. Well done. And that component of education is so key.
Hmm.
Why do you, and not just educating the people who are benefiting, but also educating even
Hmm.
our donors, even our supporters, the community? Why is that so key?
Whew. With education, I believe comes not just change, but becomes awareness. You know, we live in a, if it has to be true, there's a lot of people who want to give from afar, and there's some people who would never be able to, or maybe desire not to visit other countries and other places. That's everyone's personal choice and things, but I believe that the education, whether this person will ever be able to visit other countries and be exposed, it will still bring them an awareness and an open mind.
Hmm.
And I think that's very, very, very important to have, is someone who is open-minded and aware that there are things that exist outside of their world and their bubble.
Yeah.
Because when we live in a country that has abundance of essential things, things that we look at as a very much of a sense of day-to-day things, and with that I mean water, as we are going to launch the shower next month. Those things, for most of Americans, not all, it comes very easily for us. So when there's this population of people that don't have access to a shower, that there's a population of people who are menstruating just like I do each month, but their way of managing looks way different than mine.
Hmm.
That awareness is key, because then it allows for, I believe, a connection to happen, where from afar this person can connect to that person, not look at them differently but look at the same, and there can be an avenue of support and of help. And if you want to take it a step further, I mean, had conversations with a few of our um generosity, GG Village volunteers that have come to Self Saturday, or been a long term, volunteer with us, and they're like, I now want to now visit. I never thought I would want to go to Cameroon, but now I do. I never thought I would want to, actually go to this place and visit, but now I do, because I want to see firsthand. And I believe that all starts with education, the opening of our minds and our eyes, because once you see something, you can't unsee it. So there's always best to see something from the ground level, being there firsthand. You can't change it. I was changed by going to Cameroon, can never change it. But if I can do my best to bring that experience to you in the comfort of your own home, or through your computer or through Facebook, you still cannot say that I haven't been made aware of it. And I believe that's the decision that can be made once you're made aware of it. You can then decide, is this a cause that I want to help and I want to be a part of?
Yeah,
Everyone wants to be a part of something. There's something always that tugs at our hearts as human beings. This is something that tugs at my heart, you know and so having something I'm so passionate about and bringing it to so many people that aren't aware of it is like, I would say, a goal, but more so just something that makes me happy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just put up a quote. Once you see something, you cannot unsee it. And you know, for people who are searching for meaning in life and searching for something to connect with and something that relates to them and connects to them and speaks to them, it's one of those things where, and part of what we do, again, part of the development side and just the growth side of a nonprofit cause driven organization is really about making our, telling our story and
Hmm.
connecting people to our why and finding that, or bringing together whys that are similar, people who are of that same desire to want to help women, to want to invest in women, to want to uplift women, to want to train and all that stuff, because that's really what it is. The reality is, no one person, no one organization can solve all the problems, right? Or all the issues that are out there pertaining to this particular matter. It takes us all to work hand in hand together and find ways where we can work in unison to address the issues in a way that the people who are receiving our gift of generosity per se are benefiting not just for today, but for years to come. Um, the investment in education and investment in teaching life skills is something that can be used for years to come by that person, where it's no longer just, again, we talked earlier about the disposable pads. We always look at the things of the cost, right? Over, yeah, one now, small scale, you're doing disposal pads, that's cool. And you may have somebody who's funding that. But when you look at a large scale where you have to do for one person 20 a month just for one need, that adds up pretty fast.
Yeah.
That adds up pretty fast, right? So those are the things where we now, and I believe you all and the women of generosity have really came in and made me understand that this is the better way to go. This is the best approach for us to be able to meet these needs, to be able to help in our own small way,
Yeah.
to be able to impact the lives that come across our territory, right, or across the turf of our existence. Because the same girl that we are helping in Cameroon or Kenya, there's still a girl child in Botswana or Tanzania or Ghana that has the same need. And it is our hope and desire that if if our system works for us and works for you, and you want to do something about it, it's something that it can be replicated anywhere, with anybody, with any organization, with any village per se, because we don't have the money to be in every single village. I mean, that's just
Yes.
the truth, right? We don't have the money. But you
Yeah.
know I always say we're going to focus on the areas that we've been granted permission to focus in, because again, it's all about permission to um, do this work, and then use that as the way to inspire others to get involved either with us or through other organizations.
Absolutely. The blueprint is very essential to how this mission expands. And I definitely want to acknowledge that there is a young lady, well not young, well she's my age, but Millicent
Yeah,
was really vital in helping with setting that blueprint
yeah.
because I had read about reusable pads. I knew this is the direction that we wanted to go. But of course, making one and learning the step by steps and being able to create a video that was going to be easily followed, like a pretty much a training manual
Hmm.
that was going to be easily followed, was what I needed. I needed someone that could assist me in that. And Millicent came right in time. She had grown up in Kenya and spent some time. And where was she coming from?
Was it Uganda?
Uganda, I believe it was. Just coming off the heels of being in Uganda for a while, when we met, and basically
No, I don't
from
think it was Uganda. It was a different country. It's not Uganda. It's a different
okay.
country. Yeah.
Well, Millicent, if you're listening, just type in where you were, where you were. But the point being is that she had a lot of experience and firsthand experience and exposure as to what it looks like to make a reusable pad and how we could create a manual. So her and I pretty much took an entire day to sit down, and I learned so much from her. But we created a very detailed training manual that we were was actually able to be followed without us being there. And I think that is key to when you're talking about sustainability, being able to create something, to teach something that can be easily followed, easily replicated without you having to be there, because it is impossible to reach everybody. I mean, in a world where if I could have this magic wand, there wouldn't be any girl, child, or woman that has to have a menstruation crisis. Unfortunately, that is not our reality. So, what I can do from my end is lay a blueprint, lay a foundation in the villages that we are in, that we have been able um, to come and implement, and then from there create something that can be replicated, and then empower the other women in these communities, in these villages, to then continue to teach and allow the information over time. Rome
Yeah.
wasn't built overnight, but
Yeah.
over time to allow the information to cycle and to continue to roll out and to roll through. And I believe that's where change is made. It's really made from one step that can lead to that can lead to multiple steps over a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it is, take the first step, identifying the problems, identifying the issues, seeing the capacity to help, seeing the what we can do, taking one step. And the beauty about it all is, like, we know we haven't figured it all out, and we don't have all the answers, but we continue to learn, we continue to get feedback from people in the field, and continue to work with people who have actually experienced this and have better knowledge, but help us get this game plan of how we can go about you know executing on the vision that you have. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about the campaign. For everybody who's watching, we have put the link of Generosity Women on our website if you want to learn more. The work that is being done there, the vision, our approach, all those things. So do we, we basically are inviting you to, join in. If this is something that speaks to your heart, again, water and women, health, hygiene, sanitation, this is something that speaks to your heart, join in and help us to do the heavy lifting. Go on our website, but more importantly, Erica, thank you, ma'am, for joining us for the show. But
I love it.
as we land this plane, we've been on this for 58 minutes, I believe, something like that. As we
Whew,
land,
time goes fast. Why does it always go fast when I'm on here with you?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know,
Wow.
it's always fun, just having to just have these conversations that we usually have behind the scenes, or just,
Yeah.
you know, um, between you and I, and just have it like we're just talking in front of our friends and village. As we get ready to land the plane, people who have been listening to you, and what parting words and call to action do you have for our audience, those who are listening right now, or those who are listening at a later date, either through YouTube or Facebook? What words do you have for them as we say bye bye?
Oh, oh, well, you know, the we talked a whole lot of on this podcast about so many things, and in essence, more surrounding the campaign that's going to start on Monday, and from a standpoint of donations and supporters, we want if so many of everyone to buy into this cause and to donate, right? But more importantly, I really am, gonna challenge and ask everyone that if this is something that pulls at your heart, that tugs you a little bit, that makes you, when you close your eyes, you think about this child, you think about this woman in your mind. Um, two things. One, learn about this too outside of the campaign. Reach out to me. I will be doing, as many um posts and Facebook lives and things over the next 3 weeks. But I really want this to be almost like using this platform to be the gateway for others to be empowered too, and for us as a community, as a village, to build into each other, and not just have my voice be in this. I really believe that when people are giving from their heart, giving from a place of where it tugs at them at night, where it pretty much pulls at them, pulls at the fact of this is not the way humans should live, then give, but I wouldn't. I would say this cautiously, just to say that I'm not looking for those to give in a sense where it's half grudgingly, but give in a sense where you're all in and committed, and want to really, really have a heart for what we're doing in Kenya and Cameroon and beyond. I really believe that as more content comes out, there'll be more awareness, and there'll be more ability for us to engage and to talk about this. And in our engagement, in our conversations that we'll have over the next few weeks, it to just have everyone um, that is connected to what we do, connected to the work that we do, had their own sense of why that they are doing this. I think we having that why, having that reason, it fuels us to make a difference in the world, but also make a difference right here in our community. Be inspired by what we're doing. It's not that we're doing anything that is difficult or challenging. It's just that we're really leading from our hearts and leading from a place that when something tugs us, when something continues to kind of fester, then it becomes a problem that must be solved. And I just encourage everyone to be problem solvers in their own right, to give from their heart, and to always empower yourselves with facts and your own truth, so that you can raise awareness and tell others as well about the work that we do, because there's only but my reach can go so far, but our reach collectively is what really changed the world.
Wow. That was powerful. That is a way to shut down this show and drop that mic. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been on with me on the Fuel by Generosity podcast with my lovely wife, co-founder and director of Women's Initiative at Generosity Global, Erika Akwo. We want to thank you all so much. I don't want to add more because she said it all, but we want to thank you all so much for joining us today and being part of this mission, being part of this vision. Make sure you check out the link that's scrolling, generosityglobal.org / generosity-women. Learn everything you need to learn about generosity women. And again, reach out to us, reach out to Erika if this is something that speaks to your heart, if this is something that connects to you and you want to be part of it and you want to help your own little way. It's not all about money. It's all about, sometimes alignment and connection and resources that you may have access to. We definitely will be welcome in anybody who's able to join us with their hearts, with their commitments, with their ideas to help us build a better, I guess, program that will impact lives for years to come. So thank you all so much for being part of the show. We are grateful. Thank you all for being part of the Generosity Global Village. Until next week, we will say bye-bye, but remember to always keep going, and remember that generosity changes everything. We are out.